Good morning, students, and greeting from Japan. This is Dr. Alan Cannon, and I am your instructor for 53 for 90 Diversity and Justice in Organizations. This slideshow is a reboot of the other slideshow that I posted, and it's going to be a brief introduction to this course. So my instructing objectives are very simple. I want to introduce the concepts of the course, which focus on social justice concepts, identity concepts, group dynamics, and also concepts of diversity. We want to have good dialogue, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to give everyone a chance to present their own stories, to present the stories that they've researched, and also to learn a bit from each other. Now, my teaching philosophy, I'm going to very briefly cover this, and the whole purpose of this course is to facilitate dialogue. So it's to give each other a chance to interact and to learn from each other. And in the classroom, it's of course a lot easier to facilitate dialogue because you're right there. You can react to what's going on in the conversation and direct it in the manner that you want. We're going to try to recreate that same level of interaction in the classroom or online that we have in the classroom. And we have some challenges with that, but so far I've seen that folks are willing to interact with each other, so that's a good thing. The topics can be sensitive. People oftentimes do bring up sensitive topics, and people disagree in this class. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that the expectation of respect for our fellow students is there. It's mandatory. It's required. We respect each other, but we also should respect each other's opinions. There is a very lengthy behavioral guideline presentation online through the University of Oklahoma, and I encourage everybody to read it if they need some refresher on that. Basic outline of the course is presented here. I've also posted it in the news section, so I won't spend any time going over it. You can see the two most prominent things in terms of your responsibilities are the narrated presentation, which is due on 17 November, and the final essay, which is due on 8 December. The grading metrics is very straightforward. The group presentation is 40% of the grade. The narrated presentation is going to be 30%, and the final paper is also going to be 30%. We expect all students to respond to each other's posts, discussion posts, and also to respond to at least 2 classmates' presentations, and that's part of the grade there. I'm going to most likely post a matrix letting folks know to whom they should respond regarding their presentations, just to make sure that everyone gets a response. Participation is really, really important. Again, participation means that you post your own material and then you respond to the posts of your colleagues. The breakdown is listed here. The same with the narrated presentation. Basically, you're going, even though we're going to discuss these chapters, you're going to take a chapter from the book, from the Taking Sides book, and you're going to use that just as a launching point for your presentation. So you're going to outline the issue that's discussed. What's the issue, and what stance did the authors of the essays take? And then you're going to present your own perspective on the topic. You're going to do additional research, and you're going to expand upon the discussion that was conducted. So you can look at other organizations. You can look at how the topic has progressed. You can look at how the topic has regressed. You can look at current developments. You can look at developments in other countries. I'm going to leave, there's a lot of freedom in terms of how you can approach this presentation. And of course, you're encouraged to be as creative as you possibly can be in a PowerPoint presentation. I'm using Screen-O-Matic or Screencast-O-Matic.com to record this video, which I'm going to post to YouTube. I encourage you to do the same. It's a nice program. You can use it for free to record a 15-minute video. You can pay to join them and then record longer videos. I encourage people to keep their presentations to 15 minutes or less, which I'm going to try to do with this one. So by all means, take advantage of this. Post a video to YouTube, and then you can share the link with your colleagues. Final essay is due on 8 December, and it's an expansion of the topic that you presented in your narrated presentation. So it's got to be a 5 to 7 page paper, no more. And the reason I say that is because oftentimes I receive papers from students that are 12, 15 pages, and that tells me two things. A, that the student needs to develop the discipline to make their concepts or their writing more concise. And B, sorry to say this, but oftentimes I get rehashed papers from students who want to take a paper that they wrote in a different class and present it in this class. And that's, if it's good and it works and it fits the parameters perfectly, I can accept that. But typically when I get a 12-page paper, when I ask for a 5 to 7 page paper, I stop reading at the 7 pages. And if they've not completed the concept and presented a concise essay in 7 pages, that's not a complete grade. I don't grade a 15-page paper, 12-page paper when it's supposed to be 7 pages. And one more concept about that: it's actually harder to write a 5 to 7 page paper than it is to write a 15-page paper, because you have less room to present your concepts. Okay, so what's important in this paper is that you have to use scholarly resources. You have to explain the topic and how it relates to diversity and social justice. And also, a really good idea that you should do is select an organization that's dealt with this topic and focus on that. And focus upon the remedies, best practices. Again, this is the type of things that we're looking at. What was the organization's remedy to that situation, and how did they change their organizational culture? So, resources for your paper. You should use your OU library, absolutely, but you should also look at other resources like Diversity Inc. or Huffington Post. Organizations and news organizations that have special interest focus. These things allow you to launch your ideas. They don't necessarily have to be the sole source of information. Again, what's important is that you use scholarly sources to back up your concepts and your ideas. And you can get those from the library, but you can use CNN.com or Time.com or Diversity Inc. to inspire you for your presentation. Also encourage everybody to look at conservative news sources. And the reason I say that is because we want to have a balanced discussion. We want to have a balanced presentation. So we want pros and cons. And typically this type of study, diversity and justice, tends to be left-leaning and feminist in its approach. And by feminist, I mean activist, meaning that it is aimed towards identifying and fixing social norms, whereas traditional research is supposed to be ideologically neutral. Now, we know that most everything in life is not completely neutral in terms of its ideology. So it's a good idea, take a look at a conservative source of information on a topic if you find something that you're interested in addition to what's considered, and I use air quotes here, a liberal source, because then you can get two perspectives on the topic. Also check out websites that deal with class action lawsuits. That's a good source of information on organizations that dealt with diversity and social justice issues. And if you look at this print screen, you can see there's quite a few of them. Now, Oklahoma also has its own diversity enrichment website, and I encourage you all to take a look at that. This is an old print screen. It's probably changed since then, but by all means, go over there, Google it up, and take a look at it. Now, the last thing that we're supposed to do in this first week is to introduce ourselves. So I've written an introduction in that discussion forum, and so I'll just very briefly. Born in Carolina, I was raised in Connecticut. I was active duty Air Force from '88 to '94. I was a heavy equipment operator, horizontal construction specialist, so I dug a lot of holes and patched a lot of concrete and asphalt. I returned to Germany in 1997 after my wife and I were married in 96, and I lived there until 2015. So basically, I spent 23 years in Germany and still live there, even though I'm in Japan. I lived in DC in 2005. I took a job with Homeland Security as an analyst, and when the opportunity came to move to Japan, I took advantage of that. So I've been in Japan basically since 29 December of 2015. I got my Master's of Human Relations in 2002, got my Master's in International Relations in 2014, and I completed my PhD in Organizational Leadership in 2013. So I've been teaching for OU since 2008, and I've taught diversity and justice in organizations many times, mostly in the classroom, and I've taught several other courses, including Intro for OU. So that's the introduction to this course. I'm going to post quite a few other videos for week 2. Looking forward to reading all of your feedback, and thank you for signing up for this course, and we're going to have a good time and have some good discussion over the next 4 months.